Well, hello, everybody. I'm Marty Bird with JMT Consulting. We're just about ready to start our webinar. We thought we'd let everybody come on in and get comfortable. Then in about a minute, we'll get started with the content. So welcome. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. I am Marty Bird with JMT Consulting. Today's topic is how AI can transform your purchasing process with Compleat for nonprofits. I'm going to cover just a little bit of housekeeping before we begin, and that is regarding our questions. Annabelle, if you want to go to the next slide, we'll take a look at some of the housekeeping. And that is regarding how questions are handled during this webinar. You'll notice that there is a questions icon at the bottom of the screen. We'll handle questions at the very end, and we'll address those at the end. So please don't be shy. Put your questions in the questions area, and we'll make sure that those are covered. Again, this is going to be recorded and sent to you at the end of the webinar. So you'll be happy to see that in your inbox a little bit later. This is a CPE credit webinar, and so your participation today earns you 1 CPE credit. As you know, you've been on these types of things before. We do ask you to respond to the polling questions. There will be 4 that come up today. 3 of the 4 are required for your CPE credit to be awarded. There's also a survey at the very end that will pop up, and so you'll need to complete that survey as well. So as is required for the CPE credit, you do need to remain for the duration of the webinar. You'll see that if you have questions about the CPE credit, Kristen Frederick's email address is right there, so you can contact her if you have questions after the fact. So let's get on to today's content. And let me introduce Bu-Lin Tran, who will introduce not only the topic, but our other speaker. Bu-Lin?
Good morning. I'm Bu-Lin Tran. I'm Senior Vice President overseeing financial solutions practice here at JMT. I have over 25 years experience working with nonprofits, helping nonprofits streamline their back office accounting system operations, leveraging systems such as ERP solutions, AP automations, FP&A solutions as well. I have over 14 years experience working on the ERP side, over 14 years experience working with Sage Intacct, and over 20 years experience with working with Dynamics GP. So we have a special guest joining us today, Annabelle Sims with Compleat. Annabelle, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Bu-Lin. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. I'm Annabelle Sim, Vice President at Compleat Software for nonprofits, helping organisations to optimise their vendor purchasing and accounts payable processes to save time and increase efficiencies. So yeah, thank you everyone for having me on today's webinar to talk about AI in purchasing, how you can mitigate risks and reduce manual workloads.
So one note I wanted to make is that Annabelle really did all the heavy lifting on this presentation. So I really appreciate all her help. So next slide, please. So just a little bit background on JMT. JMT is a consulting firm. Our mission is to help nonprofit organizations streamline their back office accounting operations by leveraging financial solutions. We were founded in 1991, and today we serve over 2,000 plus nonprofits. We work exclusively with nonprofit organizations. And as you can see here in this map, we are located, our headquarters is in Nashville, Tennessee, but we have clients throughout the US, and we have a few clients in Canada as well. So next slide, please. And in terms of our services and what we do at JMT, so we implement and support cloud-based ERP solution. There are two solutions that are in this category, one of which is Sage Intacct, and the other one is MIP. Now, MIP also has a on-premise version of the solution as well. We also implement and support budget management solution, and they are Vena and Martis. We provide outsourced accounting services as well through the Sage Intacct portal, and as well as perform accounting operations assessment work. We also assist with system integrations. And finally, we do support grants management. Sage Intacct has a very robust grants management component in its as part of its solution. Next slide, please. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about our user conference. So Innovate is our in-person user conference. This is held annually. So we just completed one last month. So this is a great event for you to meet your peers, which are other nonprofits, and learn more about the technology that we support, including Sage Intacct and MIP. We at Innovate, we have multiple training sessions, focusing really hands-on training on number of solutions, the two solutions that we talked about, as well as focuses on industry trends. So our next year, this coming year, Innovate will be held in Nashville. So it's a great city, lots of fun. If you're interested in going to Innovate, please connect with us to sign up for Innovate. Next slide. So I'm going to hand this over to Annabelle.
Thank you. Just to introduce Compleat Software. So the company was founded in 2008 in the UK, which you can probably tell from my accent, delivering advanced purchasing and accounts payable automation solutions. We have over 30,000 users across 12 different countries and process millions of invoices each year. We have real-time integrations with Sage Intacct, MIP, QuickBooks, and many more to extend the functionality available within your finance system to provide control, visibility, and automation to nonprofits so they can focus on their mission. The learning objectives for today's webinar are learning how modern technology can affect your procurement processes, learning the current nonprofit finance landscape and where your organization fits in with modern purchasing options. And you'll also get a sneak peek at software solution that can transform your purchasing process as well. First on the agenda for today's webinar, we'll be finding out more about purchasing trends and innovations to utilize in your nonprofit. We'll then move on to talk about how you can mitigate risks of purchasing within nonprofits, streamlining your vendor invoice process, reducing the manual workload for your finance teams. And at the end, we will be providing you with an overview of current technology that can be used to streamline your purchasing process as well. So first of all, we're going to talk about purchasing trends and innovations to utilize in your non-profit. So we've seen some compelling trends and innovations in the past few years that have such a positive effect on purchasing for non-profits. Here's a select few we'd like to talk to you about and just provide you with awareness on. But if you do have any further feedback on any trends that have revolutionized your organization, then we'd love to hear about them as well. First of all, we're going to be talking about Punch In with Amazon Business. So Amazon Business launched Punch In technology integration in 2020 with purchasing solutions. So this means that users of certain solutions can build a basket on the Amazon Business website and punch into their preferred purchasing solution. So sending the purchase for approval for the budget holder instead of ordering in the dark, essentially. This functionality removes the process of ordering online from Amazon Business and then manually replicating the basket into a purchase request form or a PO form. Many would then be sending the link or supporting attachments for approval before placing the order with Amazon. Or in other cases, the order being placed without the correct authorization or visibility. So with the punch-in technology, a PO will always be recorded and your approval workflows complied with, which can speed up order processing times by up to 3 days and provide instant visibility over every purchase made across your nonprofit. Amazon Business works with over 3,700 nonprofits in the US to provide access to a wide range of products. And being an online marketplace offers lower, more competitive prices in a lot of cases for products you need to support your nonprofit. They are now providing the punch-in technology and working with partners to provide purchasing automation and this control over your spend, control against your budgets, and so you can conform with your approval structures, and as well to automate the invoice reconciliation process as well, and the end-to-end process integrated into your finance system, whether it's Sage Intacct, MIP, QuickBooks, really streamlining that end-to-end process for you. The second topic really is around increase of organizations buying online in general and the shift that we're seeing. So there's a shift happening in the wider business world, as well as specifically within the nonprofit sector, to buying online. One stat from Frost and Sullivan 2023 have indicated that 67% of vendors by 2026 will drop the offering of offline catalogs and offline purchasing in favor of online purchasing on their website. This is because it's cheaper and more efficient for everyone, and the vendor can then offer best prices to their customers as well, as there's not the additional costs wrapped around taking a phone call from the customer and all of those admin tasks around the purchase order process. So this clearly marks the move from more traditional purchasing process of calling, emailing vendors, offline catalogs that are stored and updated and potentially inaccurate at moments in time, and in-store purchases in some cases as well, to online purchasing, to receive discounts, bulk buying, agreed prices, and general cost savings from purchasing in this way, as well as convenience and faster delivery times, which is obviously a key driver as well from online purchases for nonprofits that need something relatively quickly. So really the point here is we would recommend reviewing the technology available so you can maintain compliant in line with this shift in the coming years. So AI in purchasing. The use of AI in purchasing software has been increasing in the past few years, and this includes leveraging predictive analytics, allowing an organization to effectively work out future spend or to identify cost-saving measures, such as instances where the same item has been bought from various vendors, where one was rated more highly potentially. For example, they might have faster delivery times, they might be offering lower prices, or you might be spending less time processing the invoices, so you might have higher matching rates. So all things that can be reviewed with AI and technology in order to make best purchasing decisions and essentially save costs for your nonprofit. So what's next with AI in purchasing? Another used case for AI in purchasing is the creation of online catalog integrations, similar to what I've just described and offered by Amazon Business, which for additional ones can be a manual task requiring developer days to set up new CXML connections, which are only available with large online vendors like Dell, Office Depot, Henry Schein, etc. So AI can reduce the connector creation time to just minutes, reducing the cost, making it more cost effective for nonprofits to adopt this software and provide this same seamless online buying experience with smaller online vendors that you want to purchase from as well. So not just large vendors, but if you have small vendors in your local area, region, then they can also be used and you can purchase online in the same way with the use of this technology, which is amazing. So this is currently being developed along with other AI innovations, such as allowing simple search queries to produce results such as I need 500 sheets of paper, and getting results from your preferred vendors, average costs in the past, 4 weeks as an example, and then also cross-referencing against other organizations and nonprofits what they've paid. So you have this library of information in order to make those informed decisions and get best prices that you can. Replicating the same automated purchasing experience as with punch out or punch in technology with Amazon Business as described, but for smaller vendor websites, will be possible in 2024 with the use of AI, allowing your nonprofit to purchase from any preferred vendor, as mentioned, whilst maintaining control and visibility by automatically capturing what you're buying, the basket information into a purchase request without any manual intervention, sending that for approval and having instant control and visibility of spend across all of your vendors with this technology powered by AI. So this technology will make that possible. So we're going to pause for a second. It's time for our first polling question, which is, what percentage of your goods and services are purchased online? So you've got 4 options there: 0 to 30%, 30 to 60%, 60 to 100%, or if you're not sure, there's a not sure option as well. So I'll give you a second to answer that question. Perfect.
Oh, great.
Wow, okay. There's quite a lot in the 60 to 100%, 38% of people who have joined. So yeah, that's fantastic. So already you're seeing the scale up of purchases online and might be thinking about how best to keep control and automate that process. Brilliant.
And Annabelle, are you surprised? Were you anticipating that to be the results?
I was anticipating that to be the results, but you never know with the webinar. You get a group of people. There might be people that aren't sure or aren't part of the purchasing process. Maybe they sit in finance, maybe aren't aware of all of the purchases online. So it's great that quite a few that have attended are aware of roughly how many purchases are with online vendors. But no, I'm not surprised. As I say, the increase is most certainly there, and we really see that in conversations in terms of purchasing processes and key vendors that nonprofits are purchasing from. Good stuff. So next, we're going to be talking about mitigating risks in nonprofit purchasing. So in this segment, we'll discuss how to enhance control, ensure compliance, and manage risks effectively within organizations' purchasing processes. So that was a bit of a mouthful. So to begin, preferred vendor purchasing. Defining and using preferred vendors is a good place to begin. These are trusted vendors who have competitive pricing, have consistently met quality and reliability standards, especially with multi-location organizations. Defining and enforcing preferred vendors can be a challenge with disparate purchasing processes and different departments purchasing different things. So if you are having challenges, then you're not alone. So when considering purchases with these vendors, nonprofits can often negotiate better terms if you are working with a smaller number of vendors. You can secure discounts and ensure timely delivery of goods and services. As the standards are there, you know what to expect. If you are multi-location, a quick win is to review similar purchases that you frequently do transact with vendors across departments or locations to see if you can reduce the number of vendors and leverage vendor relationships to get those best prices. So preferred vendor relationships can also reduce risk of fraud, non-compliance with your organizational standards, because you will be receiving more invoices from known and verified vendors. So not just reducing admin, but reducing the risk of mispayments as well. Gaining control and visibility. So non-profits are seeking greater control and visibility over the purchasing process so they can also track purchases and expenditure in real time. Really important. So whilst not receiving invoices that have not been forward planned, expected or committed as well. So receive an invoice, haven't realized that that has been spent somewhere else in the organization, so you've instantly got out of date information and not known about it at the time of purchase. So there are tools and technologies that can help achieve this, such as procurement software and centralized purchasing platforms that inform you of your purchase requests awaiting approval, any POs created with vendors, expected delivery dates, as well as delivered items or values to inform your commitment and encumbrance reporting and financial planning. So increased visibility can help your nonprofit plan costs effectively against your budgets, identify invoice issues and address them promptly, thereby reducing risk to your organization as well. Approval workflows is the third one. So it's important to establish clear approval workflows for purchasing decisions. This ensures that all purchases are reviewed and authorized by the appropriate personnel prior to costs being committed or orders being placed with your vendors. Once that PO has been raised, your organization has committed to paying the invoice unless there is an issue with the goods, service, or price. So having structured approval processes will maintain accountability in your nonprofit to those budget holders and approvers, departmental spenders, and prevent unauthorized or unseen expenditure. Automated approval systems will provide the most streamlined process with things like email alerts, automated nudges and reminders to approve after a set period of time, which finance usually like, because then they don't have to chase or email individuals that might not have approved an order or an invoice, and also achieving online visibility, as well as any comments, supporting attachments, as well as a full audit trail, which is also key to being able to access that information, search for a particular order or invoice and know exactly who approved it when, any quotes they may have gathered, any approval comments that may have been entered as well. So you'll have full access to that with an automated approval system. Lastly, the budget monitoring and cash flow management. So keeping a close eye on budget availability helps prevent overspending and ensure that funds are used effectively. So budgeting software, ERP budgeting, and purchasing software can all help you with effectively managing your cash flow. When purchase orders are raised and this process is easy and efficient for your staff, you automatically gain insight into your purchasing commitments. And without this control, your budget reporting will be on actual invoices received and not provide you with that full and accurate picture, which we were referring to in terms of commitments and encumbrances. Decisions can therefore be made in departmental silos without the kind of budgetary visibility and control, potentially with out-of-date financial information, risking overspend and time-consuming out-of-date month-end accounts as well, potentially. It's important to review your vendor management and purchasing and accounts payable processes and the level of visibility that you currently have. So you can try and reduce risk, maintain financial health and avoid potential cash flow issues by leveraging this available technology. So Mitigating risks in non-profit purchasing involves a combination of strategic vendor management, enhanced control and visibility, robust approval workflows, and diligent budget monitoring. So by implementing these practices, nonprofits can ensure a more secure, compliant, and efficient purchasing process, reducing risk of overspending, mispayments, and inaccurate reporting. So we have our second polling question now, which is what percentage of purchases go through an approval process within your organization? So you've got four options there to select from: 0 to 30%, 30 to 60%, 60 to 100% again. And if you're not sure, you can click the first option of not sure. I'll give you a second to answer that.
So while we're waiting, if you're a nonprofit that's receiving federal grants, you'll probably want to be in the 60 to 100 because of, you know, the requirements. There you go.
Okay, 38% again, in the 60 to 100. So we've got the same percentage. Wonder if they're all the same people who've got high online purchases being made and have purchases going through a robust approval process. Excellent. So next we'll be talking about streamlining your vendor invoice process. Efficiency within nonprofits' accounts payable processes is important to reduce admin tasks, reduce risk again, and increase visibility. So streamlining this process can lead to significant time and cost savings, reduce errors, and improve overall financial management. One of the most time-consuming accounts payable processes is data entry and manually entering invoices into your accounting system, which is not only time-consuming and repetitive, but is prone to error and delays in visibility of spend, and also time to payment of that invoice. According to a stat before we move on, according to the Institute of Financial Management, 62% of invoices received by organizations are still manually handled. So introducing automation offers up to 90% cost reduction, 90% lower approval time, and 70% less invoice queries. So even though the average cost of processing a vendor invoice is a high $15 per invoice, with automation, this cost can dramatically reduce to less than $1 per invoice. So with that in mind, let's firstly understand what types of invoices there are and the technology that's available for automatic data capture to remove this manual task and save everyone a considerable amount of time. So digital invoices, the percentage of digital invoices being received from vendors, such as in PDF format, as opposed to paper invoices, is continuously growing. So this is because customers will receive invoices quicker, providing time to process and pay on time. It's cheaper for the vendor as they're not having to post it, mail it to you, and it provides an audit trail and supporting attachments if required via email. Promoting digital invoices to your vendors will reduce paper usage and the associated costs of printing, mailing, and storing invoices, which can be on both sides in terms of printing and storing. Digital invoices are easier to manage, search, and retrieve, leading to improved accessibility and efficiency in processing. The American Liver Foundation, we're just going to mention a organization, nonprofit, that's transitioned to a digital invoice process and experienced substantial improvements in their invoice processing times and accuracy. And here's a quote around what they say they have achieved. So Compleat software saves us a significant amount of time within our accounts payable process, removing manual data entry, invoice storage, and providing streamlined approvals. Invoices are digitally captured defaults are set against many of our GL accounts, funds, units, and projects, reducing manual coding, and invoices are routed for approval to our heads of departments. Our team has real-time visibility over every transaction by status, speeding up processing times and increasing productivity. So invoice capture technology, there are various types of technology that you can achieve automation or high levels of automation, which are available to capture invoice data from invoices. There are many nonprofits, as we've seen from those stats, that are still keying invoice data manually into their finance system and uploading or attaching the invoice or storing the invoice separately. As described, this process is time consuming and prone to human error and could lead to hard to find invoices later down the line as well when we come to storage and audits. There might be situations where manual entry is still necessary. For example, if you've got the odd handwritten invoice that needs to be interpreted, then that's absolutely fine. They can be input and managed as required in that way. On to all other invoices, however. By the early 2000s, many of you would have heard this already in terms of optical character recognition, or OCR. So we're just going to talk a bit about that. This is when that technology became available. So it's been around for quite some time now. However, the technology didn't become widely expected or used in the market until about 10 years ago. So what is OCR? OCR scans invoices and recognizes characters in order to automatically produce a data layer for processing. So the best use of this technology is for paper scanned invoices that you receive in the mail. You can batch scan them. You can email these invoices to centralized technology that can split each invoice into individual transactions. Produce a data layer to remove that manual intervention, which might be header or header and line, and also receiving a higher accuracy rating because that process is more automated. So OCR technology significantly reduces manual data entry efforts and will automatically store invoices for easy search across vendors and key dates. So whatever invoices you're looking for, there'll be keywords that you can look for or reports searching of those invoices, which makes that really easy and accessible for you. Next, we're going to talk about a bit about AI technology. So it's the most useful for processing digital documents, including PDF, Word, Excel, text files, and to validate data produced by OCR technology. Have to excuse my cough. In this current landscape, having a capture solution that provides both will cover all different types of invoices that you have and provide automation, accuracy, and a quick turnaround time. One second. It's a live webinar, as you can see. So considering smart documents and how promoting your vendors to send these to you can help. So smart documents are essentially usually generated from your vendor's ERP or accounting system, like Sage Intacct or MIP. So creating a PDF in most cases, or if there's other technology used, this might be Word, Excel, or others. This essentially will have a data layer that can be searched and used to further automate the invoice capture process. Smart documents will not only make it quicker to extract header and line invoice information, it will be far more accurate because there is no interpretation or recognition needed because AI searches the data layer directly. So smart documents can integrate with existing accounting systems and ERPs to automatically populate invoice data. AI invoice capture. So AI technology can further enhance invoice capture technology by learning and improving over time. So vendors will have different formats and terms for, words including PO or purchase order number. All of these are completely different depending on the vendor that sends the invoice in. So AI will build up its knowledge and automate this process and learn each vendor and how they're transmitting those invoices or sending those invoices in. AI can also handle complex and varied invoice formats, increasing speed of processing those. It can also reduce errors, risk, and the need for manual review by increasing the accuracy percentage by up to 99.9%. So this in turn will free up staff to focus on more, impactful activities rather than having to, check data that's been downloaded from technology or extracted from technology, if it's OCR, for example. Asking your vendors to email invoices, most commonly received in PDF format, will reduce risk because there is no need for OCR technology to produce that data layer, but AI can then extract that data directly from the digital document, so you don't have to validate each invoice. One other technology to mention is EDI before we move on. So there are software companies using EDI to send electronic messages containing invoice data through communication networks. So this automatically transmits between the vendor sales invoice processing system to the customer's accounts payable or finance system. This still has a long way to go because this depends on the vendor's ability to create EDI invoice messages and for your software to accept it. But it's technology that will increase over time to further automate invoice management and processing to remove steps in the process for B2B purchases.
And Annabelle, can we go back to the other slide? Just a quick question on this.
Yeah.
With AI being able to capture that information, is OCR, is it no longer used anymore? Or do you still do?
Good question. There's still a need for both because OCR is very effective when it comes to those paper scanned invoices that are received in the mail. The combination of the two is optimal because OCR can produce the data layer, but then AI, if it's also layered within the technology, can validate the data that has been produced or recognized off the invoice. So definitely still a place for OCR. There's some nonprofits that still receive 50% of invoices in the mail. So obviously increasing and encouraging vendors to increase sending those invoices, because in the UK, the stats are a lot higher. We hear organizations more 70 to 90% invoices are received via email. So I think it depends on country, the vendors, etc. But it's definitely still a room for both for quite some time, we would say.
Good to know. Thank you.
No problem. We now have our third polling question, which is, how does your organization capture invoices currently? So on theme, based on what we've been talking about. The options that you can select are, is it manual entry? Are you just keying those invoices in? Do you have some OCR technology or AP solution that's extracting those via OCR? Are you receiving smart documents like the PDFs, Word, Excel, etc.? Have you got an AI assisted capture engine, which is great, or are you not sure? So please feel free to just select the answer.
So this is a harder question.
It is a bit of a harder question.
This is a harder question. I'm not sure if the people in our audience really know the technology that's driving that. Oh, look, manual.
Manual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not sure, 29. So there's a couple of people not sure, but obviously we can have, if the question wasn't clear, we can maybe have that discussion, understand a little bit more about how you receive invoices, whether you're, getting them in the mail, or, if you're receiving them via email, and then how you're getting that data and processing those invoices into Sage Intacct, MIP, or your accounting system, which I think is the question on how those invoices get into your finance system, whether it's more automated or manual, which 57% have said manual in terms of their processes.
Now, this goes in hand with what you just said earlier about 62% of organizations are still manually keying their invoice into the system, right?
Yeah.
And but that trend, that percentage is changing. I mean, I think a lot of organizations are looking for automations, to streamline that process.
Absolutely. And a growing demand for
Yeah.
AP and purchasing solutions. So you can see in the market the number of organizations now providing technology either around data extraction, accounts payable, around payments, or also purchasing software as well, or a bit of everything. So that trend is, most certainly increasing, and it's more cost effective now for non-profits to adopt this functionality because it's come a long way. The technology is more efficient, so it can be offered at a more cost effective price point, which is essential when we look at the shift of more non-profits using this type of software. So invoice matching rates. What are invoice matching rates and why are they crucial to understand as a business? So invoice matching involves comparing the invoice received from a vendor with the purchase order and the goods receipt to ensure accuracy and prevent overpayments or fraud. So average rates and industry benchmarks. There will always be exceptions to manage, but higher matching rates indicate efficient and more accurate processes, and leveraging technology to capture and match invoices. You can realistically expect to sit between 60 to 90% of invoices matching, only breaking that 90% when the process is faultless, including capturing the correct prices and delivery charges at PO stage. Automatic invoice processing then further relies on goods being received prior to invoice processing and for analysis coding to be completed at PO stage. So getting a high invoice matching rate will not only be met with technology, but also relies on purchasing disciplines, timely receipting processes, if that's used for goods and services purchases across your nonprofit. With manual accounts payable processes, every invoice will need to be checked by finance or sent to an approver to compare against what has been purchased and agreed with the vendor prior to approving or paying the invoice. So otherwise, you'll be at risk of that mispayment that we've been talking about. You can improve your matching rates with an automated matching system. So matching systems use algorithms to compare invoices, purchase orders, and receipts to check whether they have been raised and to compare the PO number, values, and quantities to determine whether you can automatically approve that invoice or whether there is a discrepancy to manage with your vendor. So the matching rate percentage is increased with the use of preferred vendors, as we've referenced before, and agreed pricing to reduce those price variances between PO and invoice. Integrated online buying technology for any vendor purchase, which we've talked about, can also be used to capture the exact basket details, item prices, delivery charges, etc. So POs raised manually can include summary information, out-of-date prices, price books, catalogs, or users can forget to add the shipping charge. So integrated online buying will drastically increase the matching rates for you. One of our customers that leverages integrated online buying for key vendors has a matching rate of 76%, just to give you a realistic benchmark, which means they only have to manage 24% of invoices as exceptions, which will include multiple invoices received against one PO and invoices that do not reference a PO or are processed with no PO, such as utilities. So there's always going to be examples of invoices that you're going to want to look at or code or aren't referencing a purchase order number. So that's completely normal and will be managed as part of technology and matching. The higher the invoice matching rates, the less invoices you need to reconcile manually or process for approval prior to payment. So that's going to free up time and allow you to process a larger volume of transactions if you're growing as well. So that's also an important consideration for nonprofits receiving more invoices over time. machine learning algorithms, as well as speeding up the process. This technology can reduce risk to nonprofits as well by verifying, the vendor that sent the invoice against your trusted source within your finance system, reviewing bank details, checking for duplicates, and reducing the risk of fraud. So all of these technologies can be used to reduce that risk as well as speed up processing times. Lastly, approval workflows revisited. So having a robust approval workflow is essential to ensure the accurate and compliant invoice processing to make sure you accurately account for spend against your funds and grants. So compliant approval workflow can avoid unauthorized or incorrect payments with the ability to streamline multiple levels of verification under your set conditions as well, which might be value thresholds, additional sense checks if required for certain vendors or invoices, and invoices over certain values is commonly used for high dollar value purchases or invoices. So using these automated systems to route invoices to the appropriate approvers based on this criteria, and also leveraging reminders and streamlining this process will mean that there's no risk of losing track or visibility of invoices when they're out for approval. And of course, not all invoices might need to go for approval if you're leveraging purchase ordering and invoice matching as well, because it's been pre-approved and might be able to be automatically transferred into your finance system thereafter. So the conclusion really is the higher your invoice matching rates, the better your purchasing controls and the less time you are spending processing your invoices. The role of approval workflows in ensuring the accuracy and compliance prior to receiving the invoice will then further increase your accounts payable automation and in many cases remove the need altogether. So by optimizing invoice matching processes, nonprofits can achieve better financial control, reduce errors, and enhance overall efficiency by up to 90%. So, of course, we would encourage you to explore these strategies and tools to improve your own invoice matching rates, to free up your staff time and time spent on manual data entry and the reconciliation, chasing approvals, which are very common, to give you time back for more impactful activities. Lastly is just referencing reduction of manual workload really, and the different options when it comes to integrations with third parties offering these the technology available within purchasing and accounts payable. So your ERP finance system such as Sage Intacct or MIP manages all of your core financials and processes and has tools to manage purchase ordering, accounts payable, and storage of vendor invoices, budget management, etc. JMT and finance systems like Sage Intacct and MIP work with third-party purchasing and accounts payable solutions to provide further automation, data accuracy control, and efficiencies to your nonprofit. Just a couple of quick reference points of the different types of integration with third parties to be aware of. So see manually keying, we have established that quite a high percentage are using that method currently. With purchasing an AP solution, there might be an option for file download and upload, which will save time because you can bulk download invoices and upload them into your finance system, which is obviously great, but also things to be aware of is it's not always optimal because there might be a task for you to manually upload a file, or you might need to manipulate the file, change the order to comply with the format that your finance system accepts. Also considering reference data, so your list of vendors and your analysis dimensions that you're using, they will need to also be imported into the purchasing accounts payable solution, and you might have a data mismatch at points and need to validate that that is correct. So it takes a little bit more time in terms of that integration method, but still saving lots of time as well. Of course, API integration, which you I'm sure would have heard of with third parties that's available. That is going to be the optimal integration that is available on the market, which automatically transfers approved invoice data to your finance system, can also send across the invoice, which is really important. So either a link to the invoice or the PDF invoice itself, which will commonly be stored in the attachments folder against that particular invoice transaction within your finance system. So those things are very key considerations, as well as automatically syncing your reference data as well. So making sure your vendor list is up to date. If you've added a vendor, it's going to be synced across. If you change or add an analysis code, that's going to be synced across. So there's not that room for error when it comes to processing invoices, selecting analysis codes, and mapping and verifying the vendor that has sent it across as well. I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to go a little bit quicker now. So we're just going to do 2 minutes on the I've got carried away with all of the good content there. So I'm going to do 2 minutes on a quick demonstration just to show you what is currently available within purchasing and AP, looking at the complete application. So on
Annabelle,
screen,
I think you have 5 minutes. I think we're okay.
5 minutes. Okay, I'll go
minutes.
quickly, but not too quickly. So on screen, you'll be able to see a login page. So most purchasing accounts payable systems these days are cloud-based, which is great because all your information will be stored and accessible, and you can log on from any web browser. A lot are also optimized on mobile devices. So all of these are great things for purchasing and AP solutions. So logging in, your users can have different access rights. So whether you want to manage and monitor and create purchase orders, requests, create purchases with your vendors, whether you're looking to digitally capture invoices and automatically match those against orders, or have a real-time view of all of your commitments, encumbrances, invoices outstanding for approval. Online purchasing and accounts payable solutions will be able to offer you this functionality and all the benefits as described in the webinar so far. All invoices will be received to a centralized email address where OCR, AR, AI technology is being utilized. So for example, Compleat can capture the header and line invoice data automatically and download that into the application for processing. As we're here to talk about AI and purchasing transformations, showcasing Amazon integration, we'll just do that quickly and show and demonstrate the benefits of streamlining this process. So either clicking on Amazon or going directly to Amazon with the punch-in integration, you can search for what you want to buy and you can fill your basket exactly as you normally would. I will select this one and I'm going to add it to my cart. What you'll be able to see here is you can then submit these items for approval. So control and compliance around your approval structures is essential with this integration. So as we submit these items, what you'll be able to see is the cart will get automatically populated into a purchase request form. So you will have instant visibility over what your departments are spending against locations, funds, grants, etc., and all down to line level descriptions, the prices that will be secured for 7 days in line with this integration to give you time to approve the request before automatic order completion. And because of integration with Sage Intacct in this case, or MIP, or your finance system, also having access to your analysis codes as well, which is very important because you can see your commitments or encumbrances as these transactions flow through based on your analysis codes, funds, departments, etc. We can send the request for approval to gain authorization before the order is committed and sent to the vendor, in this case, Amazon. So if I just send that through, you'll have instant visibility of any requests that have been submitted, the user that it's been submitted to, and be able to report on all of these transactions as required, searching for any of that key information. Quickly logging in as the approver, which will be alerted via email and will be able to approve on their mobile device as preferred, required. We'll be able to review quickly and easily any purchases that are awaiting their authorization, which we can see here. So this laptop, which we have requested, our budget holder or approver can easily review this. They can have access to change coding if they need to. At any stage, notes and attachments can be added to the solution, and any approval comments as well. Fine with me. They are happy to approve. So not only is it automating the purchase request process and having that streamlined approval structure, but the system will then automatically create that purchase with the vendor, Amazon Business, electronically. So you don't have to go back to the basket. You don't have to do any additional validation steps. Two-way integration will auto-complete the basket, and you'll have the record of that within the system, along with at every stage your approval timelines, who submitted it, any comments, who approved it, date and timestamp, when it was submitted to the supplier or vendor. So when we then receive the invoice, which will be automatic in terms of that process, it will be sent to us for us to review, and it can either be automatically submitted to your finance system, sent for approval, or if there's an invoice query, that can also be managed within the system as well. I think I'm out of time, Bulin. You keep me on track.
So Annabelle, we do have some questions here. So
Okay.
does the system allow the use of all Sage Intacct account dimensions?
Yes, so the system allows for syncing of all of the standard dimensions. So whether it's locations, departments, etc. They might be renamed, funds, grants, programs, restrictions, etc. So any of the standard fields that are being used, also custom codes that are being used as well or named differently. User-defined dimensions. Also, we would just need to validate if there's any interdependencies that we need to be aware of. But yes, all fields. So it would essentially be replicating the header and line analysis fields that are set up within Sage Intacct or MIP, which the same applies with the segments and user-defined fields.
Right, that was very impressive. And then another question is, are purchase return / cancellations handled in Compleat system the same way?
Sure. So orders can be cancelled and logged as a cancellation within the system, or the receipting step. So if there's goods arriving, there's a receipting functionality within the system to confirm items that either have been received or need to be cancelled, essentially. So there is a process of recording any cancellations or considerations for orders that have been cancelled or deliveries that need to be cancelled, and logging that in the system so it then informs your reporting accordingly. So there is a process of managing those, yeah.
Right, and if we're not answering your questions, have further questions, please reach out to us directly. So that was great. Thank you for that.
Perfect. Our last polling question then is, which accounting software do you use? So be great to understand whether you're a Sage Intacct user, an MIP cloud on-premise user. It's just MIP is an option there. So either or, you can select that one. QuickBooks, or if you're utilizing another accounting system, then you can select the fourth option there as well.
So unfortunately, we are about to run out of time, so we will not show the results of this polling question. So let's move on to our next slide. I know we only have maybe 1 or 2 slides left.
Sure.
So yeah, so thank you everyone. This really concludes our presentations. We just wanted to share with you a couple of our upcoming webinars. So chart your course, navigating the upgrade journey for QuickBooks. So if you are on QuickBooks or know someone who's on QuickBooks, feel free to share this information with that individuals. We will be having that presentation on June 26th. And the gist of this webinar is really for QuickBooks users that may have outgrown the QuickBooks. The question is, does that necessarily mean that you have to move to a completely new ERP solution? So we're going to walk you through the process of what exactly outgrowing QuickBooks means and what are your options with that. The next, automate purchasing and invoice matching seamlessly into MIP, complete for nonprofits. So we have a complete webinar, but really focuses on the integrations with MIP, and that's on July the 18th. Beyond spreadsheets, leveraging cloud solutions for modern budgeting and forecasting, that's on July the 31st, and we're going to be focused with on that topic on the Sage Intacct budgeting solution. And then we've got the Sage Intacct 2024 R3 release, Staying Ahead. So this is our Stay Ahead series where we're going through the new functionality with each of the Sage Intacct releases, and that's on August the 22nd. And then finally, preparing for paperless audits, and that is really looking at how Sage Intacct can prepare you for a paperless audit. That's on September 26th. So all of these, I believe, are CP accredited. So feel free to register if you're interested in any of these presentation. So we are actually up. I mean, our time is up. So I wanted to thank you. Thank you so much, Annabelle, for this presentation. And thank you so much, everyone, for attending this webinar. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.